If we're live yet. Okay, here we are. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. And missing David Rodriguez, who is a little under the weather, so just sending love to him. But thank you so much for joining us, because I have a very, very special guest I'm very excited to introduce everybody to. His name is Eddie Stone, and he is the CEO of Touchstone Essentials. And it's so great because he's going to help us to learn more about this product. I actually was ordering this product years ago, and it was amazing, the Zeolite. And I just got in the mail a big package that includes the super green juice that I'm really impressed by, because I've had a lot of green juices in my time, and it's literally got everything in it, and it tastes good. So thank you so much for joining us, Eddie.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation and the privilege to connect with your group.
Yes, well, I mean, we're in just crazy times, and there's so much more that we're learning about health and well-being and things that, really, work. And so you've got these amazing products. I know people have heard of the Zeolite and CBD. Tell us about these products, but maybe before we get into the products, a bit about your background and how you ended up, stepping into this incredible role, and how you came across these sort of products, and just kind of your story.
Yeah. Okay. Happy to. It's a 30-year story, so I won't bore you with all the details. My introduction to health and nutrition was unfortunately pretty typical. There was a health crisis in my life that caused me to sort of pay attention to the idea of what you're eating and the role that it plays in your health, and the concept of wellness, right? And it wasn't directly myself, although after school I was a little heavier than I should have been, and was sort of neglecting the idea of exercise and eating way too much fast food or ultra processed food. But in this case, it was my mom. Late 1980s, my mom was really struggling with what her doctor, and really every place we took her, like major medical universities here in North Carolina where I live and other places we took her, she was kind of wasting away, sick sort of all the time, right? And no one really had an answer. And this was going on for a couple of years. And my mom's only 17 years older than me, right? So she was very vibrant, very healthy. This was shocking and disturbing on all kinds of levels. And eventually someone said to us, hey, I know someone that's an alternative medical doctor. And in fact, they even said, he might be a quack. So I'm not sure, right? So we were so desperate. They were like, well, let us have his name and number, right? We'll still, take a look. And ultimately, the gentleman wasn't a quack by any means. He was just someone that looked at issues associated with toxicity. And he was really focused on chelation therapies. And it turns out after a couple of weeks of pretty aggressive treatment, from what I know today, I'm not sure that was actually what was called for, her health began to improve. And ultimately what we discovered was some breast implants that she had surgery for, or had put in her body years before, had begun to seep or leak into the tissue. And she was having a very aggressive autoimmune response. And so her body's sort of eating itself, right? And what we later learned with all the litigation with Dow and other manufacturers of those implants was that wasn't uncommon. It just wasn't widely known. And chelation therapy, along with really starting to focus on food and nutrition and exercise and all these kinds of things, brought her back, right? And so all of a sudden, she's back to her normal, vibrant, beautiful self. She's still alive today, a wonderful woman. But for me, this was kind of this wake-up call, and I was intrigued with it in a way that, I don't know, it became like maybe a little bit of a hobby. I'm starting to read and learn, and eventually it becomes a career through sort of an accidental introduction to supplements. And I've been on this journey for 30 some years. And I've sort of developed this philosophy that led to the development of the company we have, Touchstone Essentials. But I've come to appreciate that your health and your vitality, your longevity, your chances of living disease-free are really based upon this concept at a large level of mind, body, soul, taking care of yourself, but really thinking about, toxins, the role they're playing in your health, and trying to get them out, right? Encouraging and helping the body get them out. What you're putting back in, the body needs good micronutrients, and then balance that. In our case, we believe you can find lots of ways, but including using CBD oil. And so this sort of makes up this, approach that we have as an organization. And if nothing else, we just hope we can educate people on thinking about these things, because a lot of issues that people have, they can do more for themselves than they realize. And the answers are far more simple. Even if you just take the fact that most people eat ultra processed food for the majority of their calories. And I hope that's not your listeners, but statistically in our country, about 95% of people, they are 95% of the calories consumed are coming from ultra processed foods, right? If you just cut that back and put some good stuff in, and pay attention to the quality of the water and the air that you're breathing and all these kinds of things, you can get back to a more balanced homeostasis than people even realize. And so this is really sort of the focal point of our message to the consumers that we've been sharing here for 8+ years.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting way how we learn from these kinds of adversities, what we can learn and what we can end up stumbling upon. And you've definitely stumbled upon, something really incredible. Help us to understand how it works, especially, like the Zeolite, and tell us a little bit about these products.
Sure. So let me give this sort of basic statement about the need for Zeolite. And I would imagine most people that are listening to us are very educated on this, but we live in sort of this toxic world, kind of the dirty little secret of modern living, whether we're talking about electromagnetic issues or heavy metals, toxins, volatile organics, and other issues, right? It's a toxic world we live in, and probably there's 100,000+ toxins in consumer goods and pots and pans and shoes and clothing, all these things that really aren't tested on safety for humans, right? So this is this basic supposition that we're fighting, and the damage to the DNA and otherwise. When I first was introduced to zeolites, and this goes back to 2005 for me, I had really never seen anything other than the idea of something aggressive like chelation therapy, or trying to pay attention to the environment you're in, right? Water, air quality, things of this nature, or supporting your body with your diet, green leafy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, things that encourage the body to detox. I'd never really seen anything in the category of a zeolite. A zeolite's a natural mineral. We mine ours here in the United States. There's other places around the globe where it's available, but we mine it in a very pristine environment. And this mineral, without a lot of hyperbole, I refer to it as this miracle mineral because it natively has a negative charge, right? Its structure is such that its cage contains a negative charge. And you might say, well, why is that a big deal? The reason that's a big deal is because the heavy metals, cadmium, lead, mercury, these things that you don't want in your body because they're tearing your body down, they're hormonal disruptors, they're obesogens, there's just sort of all these negative dynamics, are positively charged. And the zeolite, if you can think about maybe as a child, if you played with a magnet, when the north end and the south end of a magnet get near one another, they will sort of snap together. Well, this is exactly what happens, a little more sophisticated way, but what happens when a zeolite comes in proximity to these toxins that we're describing. And the great thing is your body does not have a receptor site for zeolites. And so assuming normal renal function, no reason to think otherwise, it's going to process out of your body in a 4 to 6 hour period of time. And it comes with no contraindications. It has GRAS status, or I should say, the naturally mined clinoptilolite zeolite has GRAS status from the FDA, the equivalency in Europe, as well as throughout Asia. And so it's really quite remarkable and gentle. That's not to say someone that's hypersensitive, dealing with real toxic issues associated with their health might want to use it, on a little slower pace. But for most people, they're going to be able to use this on a daily basis. And it's very gentle without these contraindications. There's really no barriers from an age standpoint. It's going to be one of those daily systemic methods to support, along with your diet and other things, your body detoxing. And for a lot of people, they're very quickly going to notice, I'm talking within 10 days, a little more clarity throughout the day. They're going to rest a little bit better. Even things like muscle recovery. When you start to remove toxins at the tissue and the cell level, the body's own ability to perform. Thinking about your immune system, right? We live in a world right now where people are hyper focused on immune function because all these things sort of floating around that we're trying to measure and deal with. Lung function, right? All of these things are hindered by the presence of toxins in your body. So things you can do to encourage those to evacuate the body, that's what you're looking to do. And of course, the zeolite works a little more beyond just the cage, and we can get into those details as you want to. But that's sort of a good sort of general summation of how it works.
Excellent. So there's just a few thoughts kind of jumping out here from the chat. Is it safe for children? And is this a product that people can distribute all over the world, or is it limited to the United States?
No, in our case, we actually sell and ship into 50 some countries. And so we've got warehouse in Europe, and we process in Asia and the US as well. So we don't quite reach the globe, but we're pretty close. Zeolites have a history almost throughout the world. I mean, we can go back to, hundreds of years ago in clading societies in China where they used zeolite. They didn't know that they were really using zeolite, right? But people that had dysentery would find themselves living by riverbanks and found by eating the clay, and I'm sure you've heard some of this history, they would actually treat their dysentery. Well, what was happening was that clay and the zeolites in there was creating a viral disruption. The replication of the virus was disrupting at that level. It's one of the first things we can go back to and look at where there's a history of zeolite and where this understanding and safety comes from. We can go all the way to the Romans, where they were using it as in clay structures to carry water and waste out of the cities. I mean, we know a lot about it. Chernobyl, other nuclear issues, Fukushima, where it's been used to sequester radiation. So we know a lot in that regard. And so it is available, and it's really known globally. The challenge is most of what's available to the public is simply powdered zeolite that's too large to get outside of the gut. The cages, the structures have not been prepped for optimal binding with the toxins. And frankly, in a lot of cases, because of just how the commercial world works, they're using synthetic zeolites that are weakly bonded and actually can break down in the gut, re-releasing the toxins that are bound. And so it's a marketplace where you want to pay attention as a consumer. You want to make sure you're looking at a naturally mined product that's clinoptilolite. You want to make sure there's some prep, there's some lab work, on wherever you're buying. You look for the lab work on the site to make sure it's pure and clean and proper in that regard. But it is available, and people that want to distribute it and market it, there's a whole world out there they can do that in.
Right. Yeah. So some people are asking questions about the structure of the company, and maybe we'll go into that. But there is an offer, and this is something you're seeing going across the bottom of the screen. I'll make sure that it's in the comments, so when the interview's over, everybody can click on. I don't know if Alex in the background is able to put that in the chats, but it should be somewhere in the chats already. So just scroll, and you'll be able to find it. So yeah, I know some people are going to be interested in creating a business from this, and others might just, want, the product. But how would you sort of describe this? Because it's like multi-level marketing. Is it a pyramid thing? I mean, some questions in regards to that. And it seems a little bit different, because this really stood out to me. I just had a feeling about this particular company on multiple reasons, because these are top-notch products, but the high level of integrity that I feel, and getting to know Melissa, who's helped me so much, and just the energy is just so good. And with so many people losing jobs and people's life going, through a huge transition, with a lot of the fear tactics, not fear tactics, but with a lot of the fear, surrounding just the pollutants in our environment, viruses, dark technology, and the impact that has on our, cells. I mean, there's lists and lists and lists of things that really represent this level of, challenge that our physical body is dealing with on an everyday, basis. So I really wanted to put this out there to everybody, because this could be a really great way to step into a feeling of, purpose, and you're able to create abundance again. And it's solution orientated, because there is so much fear. We need solutions. We need to put our attention on solutions. So can you tell us a little bit about the structure of how this company works, and anything, based on what I was saying, like, somebody said, hey, I have herpes. Would this be good for herpes? I know I've just asked like 4 questions in one, but anyway, wherever you want to go with all that.
All right. I'll tackle them in a little bit of an order. And the one thing I want to add to what you said about just bombardment, both mentally, psychologically, physically, all these things we're facing, right? I mean, it doesn't do us justice to say it's been a tough year, right? From all sides, it seems like it's coming at us, right? I'm surprised that as human beings, we've been able to withstand what we've been able to withstand. And we didn't even mention the 4 million acres, burning. And if you live in and around that, right? And it's not just the burning of nature, and that's a whole nother sad commentary, but when houses burn and the acrid plastics and all these sort of dynamics, right? So the need is out there. Let me first describe the offer. So for anybody that has an interest in this, and it can be just as simple as curiosity, when Laura got in touch with us and we talked about her audience and sort of her affection and what her concerns are, we set aside 500 bottles of our Pure Body Extra Strength product to be available to her audience for $5 a bottle. If you're in the US, no additional charge for shipping. There's some countries, because of shipping rates, the shipping is added, but it's pretty straightforward. It's $5 a bottle, and that product's normally $79.95. Now it is, has a guarantee, 30-day guarantee. So even at the $5, if you're unhappy, you can return it. And to get the offer, you can buy it just a one-off situation for $79.95, or you can buy it for the $5 on the subscription service. The reasons that's there is because now, if you get the next bottle, you get our best available price. So there's 20 some more % savings on the next bottle at that price. However, you decide you don't like it 1 hour from now, 5 days from now, whatever, call, cancel your subscription, keep the bottle, right? So it's a pretty simple offer in this regard. And I think you'll like that. And if you look on our website, there are thousands upon thousands, 5-star reviews about sort of our service and how we treat people. In terms of our company really has 3 aspects to it. First, we're an e-commerce organization. If you go to our website, it's not unlike other companies where you go and you can shop. And if you just want to shop, you just shop, right? That's just that simple. Check out as a guest, whatever that happens to be. Or someone could have referred you, your aunt, your uncle, whatever, your sister. And if you go through their website, it's the very same shopping experience. It's the very same dynamics in that regard. And those persons can earn a referral. So it can be as simple as a consumer or somebody wants it to be. Then there's the other side of our business where we're a direct sales company. So for someone that has an entrepreneurial spirit, or like you've described, right? Now is a time where they're sort of rethinking things and they're looking for a chance to create the abundance that seems to have been snatched away, right? And they're looking to gain that control and they want to start a business. What I would tell people is you can start a business with us without the traditional financial risk and responsibilities. I don't mean that as a commercial. That's really up to you, how you want to do that. We service our customers the same way we service people that are involved in our direct sales business. Ultimately, when you go to the website, if you click on the collaboration tab, you can see sort of a description of the various ways that works. And Laura's got a link to sort of make that dynamic easier. She's, assembling a like-minded group of people. And in that regard, it can be as simple as being an affiliate where there's absolutely no cost for the association. And if you refer people, then you have the ability to earn from those referrals like you would any other referral circumstance. But if you want to go further, we have a structure that's called VBO. And that's where if you want to assemble team, lead people, help people, support people in that regard, locally or all over the world, we allow for that as well. So we're trying to address the fact that people's needs are different. You can't just put them in a box. One size does not fit all. And so as an organization, we're trying to recognize that one size doesn't fit all and serve our constituents the best possible, way that we can. And so in that regard, it can be that and however anybody wants it to be in that regard.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. So what's really great is what I've done with the subscribers for Cosmic Gaia. It's $15 a month. I do regular shows. Probably there's going to be like 4 events a month. Some of them are going to be specifically to work, with astrology and the stuff that I normally do and have particular themes, related to maybe trauma or whatever people are processing, in the world. But there's going to be a lot of attention on this and really helping people to build this. And so becoming a subscriber is going to, give you a little bit more connectivity with others of like mind. But even without that, there'll be supportive ways, the way they go about this to help people. That's what they do. So, and they do it really, really well. And I that's why I'm so excited. And it's not just the zeolite. I mean, I can't get over the super green juice. because I have ordered so many different types of, green foods, and just looking at the ingredients, it's just like, wow. And then you got the CBD. Tell us a little bit about these other products.
Well,
oh, real quick though, about the herpes, doesn't this really help with that kind of thing too?
Well, we have to be careful because we're a supplement company, right? And so we've got to be careful that we're not trying to say to someone that we're providing them products that are going to cure, treat, or mitigate disease. And I need to say that. And if it sounds like I'm trying to pay attention to the regulation, I am. This is what I do, and we provide a service to a lot of people, and so we don't want to run afoul of the regulations we have to deal with. But there's no question that if you clean your body up, right, not just with zeolite, but with water and air and all these other things, if you start to put some good nutrients back in, your immune system's ability to function and address concerns like that is just much greater, right? There's no, you don't even have to be an MD to sort of understand that dynamic, that the more healthy you are and the more healthy your immune system is, your ability to manage any disease state is improved in that regard. Now, it's not a zero sum. Obviously, we know that. But so I have great faith as people talk about some of these concerns with what can happen once they clean their body up and put the good nutrition in. So we do see very positive results. We're conscious of what we can say and not say, but we see a lot of very, very positive results. With our products, one thing people will notice is that the product we're describing, Pure Body Extra Strength, is actually a nano-sized zeolite. It's very intentional. So we take the zeolite using a proprietary process, we nano-size it, and you can look at the size ranges on our shop page, but at the smallest, I think it gets down to 0.07 nanometers, right? So we're talking really small. The reason that's important is because it can get into the cells, and its function in the cell is the same as it is other places, right? Where it's attracted to those heavy metals and toxins that binds once it evacuates the cell and it evacuates the body. It's got to be small, though, to get into the cellular structure of the body. And so that sizing is very specific and particular in that regard. We also have a product called Pure Body Regular. The sizing is larger, 0.4 microns in size. That's purposeful as well, because that's going to primarily stay inside your gut. If it got much smaller, then it would evacuate the gut. It would leave the gut and get into the soft tissue and bloodstream. And what we want to do with Pure Body Regular is really provide gut health support. So much from a disease standpoint starts in the gut, and cleaning up the gut and trying to straighten out the pH. All these things are very important. So these are two very compatible products that I call the Detox, right, program. And so that's sort of where we come down there. In the middle for us are our superfoods. So you have the super green juice, right? I'm very proud of that product. It's 44 different organics, well balanced, put together to be a proper recipe and taste good, right? Without sugar. And so this is a USDA organic product that for people that just fall short on their vegetables, on their greens, this is a way to supplement. And of course, we all know you could juice. The challenge with juicing is for most people, it's just time, it's expense, and just learning the recipe. If you're a good juicer, then juice away. I believe in juicing and its value. I just recognize for a lot of people, it's just problematic, and they may start with great enthusiasm, but they just don't stick with it, right? So this is a dehydrated juice, for lack of another description, with all of the proper bells and whistles. And then we have nutritionals in capsule form that are likewise targeted in that regard. We got a Super Greens plus D product with 2,000 IUs of D coming from an organic mushroom that is as bioavailable as can humanly be made, along with some other greens. And so there's just a variety of products there that fall into the category of trying to put the good stuff back into the body. And then the other part, right, the third leg here to the stool are the CBD products. We have salve. We have a product for pets. We have a 750 milligram, a 1500 milligram. We have a 1500 milligram advanced that has compliant THC for those that are looking for that as a part of what they use to get value. So you can have zero THC or compliant THC. All of these products are legal all over the United States. We actually sell these products in Europe and Japan as well. So they are compliant with federal regulations really around the globe, except for places where it's prohibitive. And we believe in this way, along with you doing your part, right, from a lifestyle and a diet standpoint, you can bring some balance to the body. Because if you're taking the bad stuff out, you put the good stuff in, and then you use the CBD to find that homeostasis. and bring balance to your endocannabinoid system, right? Balance to the central nervous system, balance to the immune system, balance to the gut. You're giving yourself a chance, right? There's no perfect environment there, and it's not zero sum, but give your body a chance. Put some things in there that allows it to deal with the toxic world. And frankly, I'm not just talking about the physical toxins, just the emotional toxins of this current environment that we live in. And, I think we need all the help we can get.
We certainly do.
Yeah.
And it just seems it really prepare. I mean, it's everything. I mean, this is literally all the different combinations, like you said, and then doing the CBD and just how that really helps the nervous system. And because this is also a time of possible opportunity for us humans to advance ourselves, but we can't if we're constantly overwhelmed by all this assault. But this is also a time of the ability to really advance ourselves, and it's going to take the physical vessel being in a prime state of health and well-being for that to be possible. And I feel that it sets our creative energy free as well, and it's and it's a multidimensional detox. It's like healing multiple levels of self, and it's incredible because we've been dealing with the medical industry, and I won't even go off about my thoughts about the medical industry and some of the treatments that they have, but this just really gives so much hope because this is a really tough thing. People have a lot of fatigue too, brain fog. I mean, I have clients all the time. This is kind of why I was so interested, because I want to be able to provide something. It's like, I can only talk about the stars for so long, but we got to put this stuff in our body, people. Okay. So I think, we're going to take some questions from everybody out there, but I had another thing.
Can I just add one thought to what you said? The one thing, so I've been fortunate enough to be talking with a lot of people outside of our community, like in your community today, for the last several months. And I would just, here's something I would just ask people. I know that the negativity around us and the pressures have really caused a lot of us either intentionally to hit the pause button on life or unintentionally because we're sort of paralyzed. But man, if you can just undo that pause button and just realize the only way to walk forward is to just start moving, one step at a time. And that could be, don't overdrink at night because of the pressure of the day. Don't over caffeinate to get through it because you're not sleeping well. Start trying to do some things at a very fundamental level to support your energy and health so you can have that clear mind to sort of manage this chaos. It can be managed. We can do this, but we're going to need to do it together. Right. And find ourselves and like-minded people working together to get through this. Otherwise, the chaos just continues to force us to spin down and spin out of control. And I want us to take that pause button off life, man, and just try to get forward facing whatever way we have to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even if it's not our own stuff, it can be very toxic to be an empath and to take on everybody else's stuff. So then if you have a lot of stressed out family and friends and you're just an open hearted person that just takes it all on, I mean, it really affects our physiology. And I mean, this is so huge. I'm so grateful. I mean, I feel a lot lighter and I just feel like a joy, and it's because we gotta do this on multiple levels. So I'm sure there's a lot of really great stories. I know there's incredible testimonials. Are any kind of standing out as being your favorite, or things that you've witnessed in the many years that you've been doing this that you would want to share with us, just to give people sort of a sense of people's experience?
Yeah. So there's a lot of reviews on our website, right? And anytime you are on one of our shop pages and you see the product listed, there'll be reviews behind it. And frankly, there are even more aggressive reviews that we can't put up there because they really allude to the idea of treating or mitigating disease. But we see children that are dealing with sort of mental issues, spectrum issues, that their parents come to us and talk about behavioral improvement and social improvement. And I have to say, if there's one thing when I get up in the morning and I see something that really grabs me, if you're affecting kids, that's a big one, right? And because we know when people are struggling on the spectrum, whatever the reasons they got there, the emotional challenges and things that can occur. And if somebody says, hey, you know what, we worked on these issues with our child and we've really seen some different in our household, and for them on a personal level, right? Those are fantastic to read. And so we have a lot of people in that regard working with the product line and other techniques, right, to help their children out. The common things are, and I don't, I'm not sure what this is all about, but maybe it is the chaos of life, is the brain fog discussion, right? And brain fog, I don't think is technically a medical term, but I think all of us over probably 30 know what brain fog is. And so we just get people talk about just being able to lengthen the sort of the mental on top of it portion of their day, right? It's not just a short day. They don't need that 14th cup of coffee. They're able to plow through, do the things they need to do so they can be available in the evening hours for those they love and those they care about, right? That's warm. That just makes you feel, warm inside when you read these kinds of things. And there's a variety of other issues that we talk or we hear about that make us feel good about what's happening for the consumer, but just across the board that they can systematically detox and see what happens when that immune system improves. Those are those things that really wind us up and motivate us to get out the next morning. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, the thing is, it's just, this also bonds us to this incredible planet, because this is Earth medicine. This is like literally being, I mean, the gift of being on this planet. It's like we've barely even begun to tap into just, what is truly, right under our noses, really. I mean, the Earth medicines are everything. And to really move out of that pharmaceutical industry and, being labeled and drugged for all these things that are so dangerous to even get off of it. It's like, how can that,
Sure.
How's that not clicking? That there's something seriously wrong with having 10 horrible side effects to treat one headache, and then you get plant medicines, that really nourish your body. We have receptors for some of it and not all of it, like the ones that are taking out the bad stuff, like the zeolite. So it's such a great package because it's all there. And sometimes people are just looking at too many places, and it's nice to know that so much, everything you could pretty much need is on this particular site. So yeah, I know people probably, want to ask you some questions, but anything that we didn't discuss that you feel would be good to share with us?
We could always dive deeper into all the mechanisms of actions, but I don't think that's necessary. People can read as much detail. I sort of say, if you want to nerd out on the website, all those papers, there's a white paper there, all that stuff is available. But just as you said, and you said it beautifully, this is about earth-based medicine, right? We don't use any synthetics, no petroleum byproducts, no isolates in our products. Everything's whole food. This mineral, it's literally like a diamond in a rough. And we just polished it up a little bit. Just cleaned it up to make it more bioavailable to humans. And that's really where our focus is, because we, not to say there isn't a place for medicine in some capacity, but I think the bulk of what we're trying to accomplish here can be done just by looking back towards the garden.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's so connecting in such a beautiful way. And it's time that, we really become the humans that we're meant to be, and not this sort of half, or I mean, just how just the amount of degenerate diseases, the mental health issues, everything that we've been describing, and living a life that's not fully authentic. I mean, it's not just what we put in our body. It's the relationships we have. It's the work that we do. And we can't really live a contradictory life. We if we're going to be whole and healed and balanced, we got to change every, level of our life to really see our spiritual truth reflected back at us, so we can live, that pristine potential that we deserve. So it's a great gift. I mean, I see it as just a really great way to truly love yourself and give you what you deserve, give you the life that you deserve, and you can make a business out of it, folks. I mean, it's like, so it's almost, because the news is always so terrible every day. And this is like good news, like boom, 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 like this whole interview. And just, so I love it. So Alex, I think maybe, are you ready to take questions from some folks?
Happy to.
Okay. So this is from Maja Jacob. At some point, please talk about best time of day to take this product, morning, evening with food. Thank you.
Yeah. So Maja, here's a little simple subscription, right? The product should remain under normal circumstances in your body about a 4 to 6 hour period of time. And it works based upon proximity, right? It's a mineral. It doesn't dissolve in your body, and it won't stay in your body. And so what I think about is I take it first thing in the morning, and I take it in the sort of lunch hour, whatever that is for most people. And then I take a little in the evening hours, sort of like around what you might think of as dinner time. And then I take a little bit before bed, right? It's about 12 sprays per day is what you're looking for. So you can sort of divide that up in the way that makes the most sense for you. But if you can kind of keep it in the body, right? Just think about keeping it floating in the body. Of course, you don't want to wake up in the middle of the night to use it. That's okay, right? But that's how I think about it. So dividing it throughout the day. And it really, as long as you get it in your mouth, it's going to principally absorb mucosally. You'll notice it's odorless and tasteless. And when you spray it in your mouth, you might go to swallow and think, oh, there's just nothing kind of to swallow. And so it principally will absorb mucosally. And so it won't really matter if you're taking it with food or not.
Great. I just read an article where a doctor mentioned zeolite powder is better than a liquid supplement. However, I'm willing to try your product. Thank you for doing this interview. So any major difference between the two, or what's
whoever wrote that's just, I'm just going to err on the side of saying they're just uninformed. The bottom line is if you have a powdered zeolite product, number one, it hasn't been cleaned or prepped. If it's a powdered synthetic, then I would tell you to run away because none of the safety research has been done on powdered synthetics. But if it's a powder, that means it's large in structure and it's never going to evacuate your gut. And it's impossible for the cages to have been prepped to sort of optimize their ability to bind with the toxins, that you want to get outside of your body. It's just simply impossible from a physical standpoint. If you take the size of our product, part of the reason it's in a liquid form, one is it allows us to prep the cage, but two is if it were in a powder form, it would atomize in your hand like talc. You couldn't control it, right? And so it's a misnomer to think that you can accomplish the same with a tub that you buy on the internet. And if that's what you want to do, hey, go for it, right? Do a urine or a hair challenge test before and after and just look at your discharge levels, and then try a product that's been prepped like ours. It'll be just a night and day difference. And so it's just a misnomer. And I'll just assume the doctor being referenced just didn't do their homework.
Gotcha. So just ordered. Thanks, Laura. Laura, didn't Melissa say we should only take zeolite with some type of super greens, either from them or from somewhere else?
You can take it with the greens, and I encourage that, right? If you're trying to optimize how your body's managing toxins, there's no question that the mechanism of action of how greens work in the body, how they encourage the bowel and other aspects of your body to manage toxins, and you're basically supporting the natural function of the body. That's a great idea. But if you don't have sort of the capacity to try both, either financially or it's just like, oh, I just can't try two things at once, you start with the zeolite. And if you can add the greens, that's great. You're going to optimize that detox process, but one is not going to not work because it's absent of the other, right? These two have independent mechanisms of actions together. There is a nice synergy, but they do work independently, and you can use them separately.
When will this be available in Australia for customers and affiliates?
Right here, right now, Rachel. We've been working in Australia now for years. We have a terrific subsidized shipping rate to Australia. I think most of the time it's 4 to 5 days to arrive. And so you can actually go to our website, or Laura's website, excuse me, and select the country, select Australia, and find the details there. But we have lots of wonderful, very happy consumers and also affiliates in Australia.
Oh, great. And my website, everybody's cosmicgaia.org. And you probably already know that. You can find it on my social media. And yeah, maybe if there's one or two more people with a question, anybody? What if a person has had a bone replacement and they installed aluminum and plastic? Is it healthy to take it in, more aluminum reactions? Also explain the long-term effects of the drying. Not quite sure.
I think I understand what they're trying to ask there. And so, and this comes up not just with people that have had limbs worked on, but also people that have fillings. say, mercury fillings, right? And so one thing to recognize is the zeolite function as an inert substance, right? And so it is not going to go in and actively root out a filling or actively go in and try to root around the joint of a hip replacement or a knee replacement or something like that. What it is going to do is bind with things that are floating and free, but it will not try to dislodge like a jackhammer, right, these things in your body. So it is inert in that regard. It has a passive functionality, which is what you want, right? You would not want to use something that was active in that regard, because how would you control that? And so in this regard, it's inert. It's also just a part of that incredible function of the mineral. And so it is safe with no contraindications, whether you have mercury in your teeth or if you have joint replacements or anything of that kind, no contraindications at all. Long term, here's what I tell people to think about. Unless you somehow can escape exposure to toxins, right? I don't know if you remember John Travolta playing the boy in the bubble in the little TV movie, right? Back in the 70s, right? We don't live in bubbles. And so our exposure is constant, right? Even if you're living at the top of the Himalayas, right? Your exposure is still constant, right? And so unless you somehow can escape an environment where you're exposed to toxins, a systemic ongoing detox is beneficial. This is in and out of your body in a relatively short few hours. So there is no long-term effect other than removing toxins and getting out of the way of the function of your immune system and other parts of your body. And so there's no long-term contraindications in that regard.
Awesome. Just another reminder too, check out our Patreon, me and David Rodriguez. You can find that also on my website, and just would love to build more community and just get to know everybody more. So just wanted to remind people of that. Okay, is there any specific cases in which zeolite should not be taken or is not safe?
What I tell people, if you're under some kind of medical treatment or you have a disease concern or issue that's, let's just say it's a little unusual or something of that are rare, then you want, no matter what you're doing, whether you're changing your diet or otherwise, you want to speak with your medical professional, right? Whoever you're in counsel with that's addressing these issues, and expose them to what you want to use. If you had some condition that said don't eat minerals, right? This is a natural mineral, perhaps then that would be a situation. But I nothing, having done this since 2005, nothing comes to mind in that regard. I'm always cautious though, because there are things you don't know that you don't know. And so if you do have special circumstances, speak to your physician, make them aware of what you're doing in the same way you might with greens, right? Greens probably have more special circumstances where you wouldn't want to use them than say something like the zeolite, right? If you're on blood thinners, I do think they discourage you from having greens. And so you'd want to speak to your medical professional. Nice.
Well, this is a huge part of my mission, is to find the greatest products on earth and make them available to people. So, and there's a lot of other things you guys are going to find. And yeah, I really feel like just really pulling a lot of really cool stuff together, things to help protect against EMFs. And I mean, and this is like huge, to heal from the inside out. And I hope you guys will check out my website, because you can find that info. I'll make some of this like very easy to find on the front page. And this is going to be highlighted. You'll be able to find the link. I know some people said, hey, I wasn't able to copy and paste the link. It'll be in the comments when the interview's done. But
one more thing, I see somebody in the comment section ask about the UK. We have a warehouse in the UK, so we service really all of Western Europe and the EU and those surrounding areas. There's some parts of Eastern Europe, which has a little bit of a slow shipping situation, but principally Europe is covered. Asia is covered. Just go to the website. You'll see a whole list of countries.
Yeah, and I have to say, when I used the product a while back, it basically resolved the issues that I was having. And so and now I love the synchronicity of it coming back into my life because of all the madness of the world. I'm just like, man. So it's an incredible. I'm just so glad that it all has fallen into place. And I think we might have time for one more question, if there are more questions. maybe there isn't. Oh, what does it taste like? Taken on its own or can be mixed with other things?
Well, the spray really doesn't have any flavor. I mean, you're going to get the bottle and you're going to think, I just sprayed water in my mouth, except for the rate of absorption will tell you that it's not water, but it is odorless, colorless, tasteless. We're talking about a nano-sized particle, so it's just really no ability for matter that small to impact taste. And so it's just odorless and tasteless. And so the regular zeolite is a little cloudy and a little thin. And so it might have a little taste to some people. If you wanted to put it in a beverage, that'd be just fine. But make sure if you do that, use glass or ceramic. Don't use plastic, right? I don't want you drinking out of plastic, period. So just mix it in glass or ceramic. So you just make sure it doesn't adhere to the external surface of whatever you're drinking out of. So you lose some of it actually going into your body.
Right. And it's okay to have like 3 times a day, or, I mean, because some people, when they're really going through stuff, I mean, is there
3 or 4 times a day, no problem.
Like reaction where it might be almost too much for some people who might be incredibly toxic, or is there any warnings about?
There's no contraindication, right? But know your body, right? If you're sensitive, if you walk into a public place and you smell somebody's perfume and it sets you off, right? Then you're sensitive to things, right? So start out with half a dose, right? And just listen to your body. There's no drama associated with this product. So if you just listen to your body, you can use it as it comes. If you find, I'm a little, that I felt a little something that didn't feel my best, right? Remember that you are detoxing, but just slow into it, right? If that's where you're at in terms of your sensitivity to anything, right? Some people, if they have a no caffeine cup of coffee, but the 4 milligrams of caffeine that are in there sets them off, right? You're sensitive, right? So go slow.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if a person like starts with the green foods in the morning, you said that creates a better environment, of course, for the body. Do the zeolite first and then the greens, and then
you can do the greens and the zeolite at the same time, right? The zeolite is mostly going to absorb in your mouth, right? Mucosally, right? So it's not even getting to the gut before it's absorbed into your system. I do like to start the day with greens. To just put that alkalizing substance in the body. I'm a person that mini fast, and so I don't really have calories until probably 11 to 11:30 or 12 in the day. And then I try not to eat too late, right? So I kind of pay attention to those dynamics. And so I can have the greens and I'm really not having calories. And just I put a little something in there to soothe my gut and some good stuff for my bowels and good flora to put into my body.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited to do this every day. And when we have our gatherings and meetings, folks, we can all, share our progress and have each other's back and assist one another. And definitely, I just love how you said, we have to all do this together. We can't let our hearts be broken right now. We need to focus on solutions, get optimal wellness, and be mutually supportive. And that's the most important thing in these times. I mean, timing couldn't be better, but this year has been absolutely crazy. I know everybody can agree. It's just been like, whoa. So any final thoughts? Anything you else want to share? I don't think I have any more questions. I know, though, if others out there, think of something, it's going to be easy for us to, get some answers to, but it's a very great website. You should be able to find a lot of the answers just going through the website. But any final thoughts or any last question, Alex, that you see?
Well, the one thing I would say is, number one, thank you for having me. And for those that I met via this little discussion, thank you for your time. Thanks for paying attention. Thank you for investing in yourself to educate yourself. As Laura said, on the website, there's tremendous FAQ sections on all of the product pages. Our support staff is just second to none. Chat with them, email them, call them. And then if you really kind of want to dive into this subject matter, go to our blog. On the community page, you'll see our blog. There are hundreds of articles there on impact of toxins, impact of artificial sweeteners, sugars, whatever it happens to be, lifestyle issues you can address to improve condition. Educate yourself, right? You got one body, no matter what you do, and you want to keep that thing going as healthy as long as possible, right? Keep that brain going, right? That's the only way to kind of fight through these times. So take care of yourself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we haven't even gone to the depths of like who we are and what we're really made of. I mean, there's so much amnesia. We have junk DNA that I just feel is going to come to life with these products, because I've been studying that and talking about it for a long time. I mean, you know, the dumbing down has a lot to do with what's getting streamed to us constantly and all these assaults like we were talking about. So I think we're in for some exciting times, and I hope this is as inspiring to everybody else as it is to me. I'm feeling incredibly hopeful, and I'm in a freaking super good mood about this. I'm really thrilled. So thank you so much, Eddie, for being
Happy to be here
with us. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Alex, who have been a big part of all this. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And I'll have my website updated. You can check it in a couple hours. And but you'll be able to find the link in the comments. And yeah, you know, it's time just to love yourself like never before. And it's going to be incredible to see the results on multiple levels for all of us. So thank you, Eddie. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye now.
Bye.